I have always felt like a powerful woman of agency. Yet, when I realized I had victim mentality, identified it, and changed it, it was the most powerful paradigm shift of my entire recovery. And I have had a lot of paradigm shifts in recovery. Hi, I'm Barb Nangle. I want to welcome you to my podcast, Fragmented to Whole, Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery. If you're tired of feeling fragmented and overwhelmed, this podcast is your guide to creating a life of wholeness, authenticity, and healthy boundaries. I'm a woman in recovery who is also a boundaries coach and speaker. I share raw and honest insights from my own journey and the principles of 12-Step Recovery. Discover how to set boundaries without guilt or shame, overcome people-pleasing tendencies, manage your emotions effectively, cultivate a stronger sense of self, and build healthier relationships. My approach is raw, honest, and sometimes a lot sweary. I'm an avid beachcomber and a formerly closeted fan of the Hallmark Channel, especially Christmas movies. I wear fingerless gloves almost all year round because my hands are always cold. And I love taking pictures of license plates with my initials BN on them. I don't speak for or endorse any particular 12-step program of recovery. Though I'm a huge fan of 12-step recovery and a member of two such fellowships, I cannot speak for them. If you're ready for real talk and practical tools for transformation, keep listening. This is episode 323, How the Victim Role Hijacks Workplace Meetings and What to Do Instead. Today, I want to dive into a dynamic I see all the time in workplaces, the victim role. But first, I want to let you know that I've decided to have monthly themes for all my work. My plan is to do this experiment for a whole year, but if it doesn't seem to go well after 3 months, I'll change. For example, this month, which at the time of this recording is September 2025, is the workplace theme. So that means my podcast, my newsletter, all social media, all emails from my people on my email list, and my monthly workshop will be based on the theme of the workplace. October will be personal boundaries, November the holidays, December the family, and so on. Now, I'd love to get your feedback on this, so drop me a line if you have positive or negative feedback on this idea. Now, back to today's topic. You might already know about the drama triangle, which includes the roles of victim, persecutor, and rescuer. Now, I talk about this a lot in my coaching. Just about every single client I have has victim mentality. It was, for me, the biggest paradigm shift of my recovery. And I have a whole bunch of episodes about getting out of victim mentality, and I put a list of those episodes with links to them in the show notes. So if this is an area that you need help with, or you know someone who does, I actually don't recommend you send it to people who have victim mentality unless they've admitted it and said they want help, because they'll feel victimized. What I want to hone in on today is how the victim role can quietly take control of an entire room, even when it looks like powerlessness. And again, this example today is about the workplace, but this can happen in any setting. So this is one of those things that once you start noticing it, you will see it all the time in meetings, in group projects, in family, in neighborhoods, in community organizations, etc. So let me paint you a picture. You're in a team meeting. Everyone's brainstorming next steps for a project. Things are moving along. People are engaged. And then one colleague speaks up. This deadline is completely unfair. I always get the short end of the stick. Nobody here ever listens to me. Now, on the surface, it sounds like they're coming from a place of helplessness. They're stuck, powerless, and everything feels outside of their control. But here's what can happen next. The energy in the room changes. Some people immediately start apologizing, even if they had nothing to do with the deadline. Others start whispering later, we better not upset her. We'll just do what she wants. Even if they don't say it out loud, they might just think that on their own. Some people disengage completely, withdrawing to keep the peace. Others get frustrated or resentful, and think like, why the fuck do we have to always cater to this person? And some are just plain confused, like, wait, how did we get derailed? What are we even talking about anymore? In the end, that one person's, quote, powerlessness redirects the energy of the entire meeting. The group's focus shifts away from the original purpose, the project, the goals, the work, and centers instead on that one person's unmet needs. And that is the paradox of the victim role. What looks like weakness actually pulls power toward that person. Now, here's why that happens. When someone plays the victim role, they shift focus from the collective purpose to themselves. Everyone else scrambles to appease, avoid conflict, or change direction. In other words, powerlessness becomes control. Now, it may not look like control in the usual sense. There's no bossy behavior, no overt authority, but it's powerful because it hijacks attention and energy. Now, to be sure, most people with victim mentality don't even know they have it. That was the case with me for decades. I have always felt like a powerful woman of agency. Yet, when I realized I had victim mentality, identified it, and changed it, it was the most powerful paradigm shift of my entire recovery. And I have had a lot of paradigm shifts and recovery. So what can you do when this dynamic shows up at work? There are 5 things that can help. So number 1 is listen. Acknowledge the concern. If you dismiss them or say you're just acting like a victim, you're only going to deepen their resentment, make them feel further victimized, and entrench them in this mentality. Now, you don't have to agree, but you can reflect back something like, I hear that you're feeling frustrated about the deadline. Number 2, ask questions. This is where we go beyond broad, sweeping statements like, no one ever listens to me. And here are 3 clarifying questions you can use. 1, can you give me an example of when you felt unheard? 2, is this about today's project or something that's been happening for a while? And 3, what part of this is most urgent for us to address right now? These kinds of questions get the conversation grounded in reality, and they help separate an emotional story from an actual problem the group can work on to solve. Now, number 3 is offer options. Sometimes there are practical adjustments that can be made, but they need to be balanced with the group's needs. For example, we can extend the deadline by 1 day, but the trade-off is we lose review time. Or would it help to reassign part of the task? This way, the group is offering solutions, not bending completely around one person's complaint. Number 4, stay grounded. I know this can be hard, but this is huge. Don't get swept up in their story. Remember, the issue isn't just the event, the deadline, the task, whatever it is they're talking about. It's their identity of being the victim. That identity can drive behavior more than actual facts. If you stay calm and centered, you keep perspective instead of getting pulled into their victim spiral. And number 5, return to the purpose. Always bring it back to what is the goal of this meeting? What are we here to accomplish? That shifts the focus back to the collective mission and away from one individual person's personal narrative. Now, here's the truth. We've all played the victim role at some point. It's just part of the way humans interact. It's just that when we're mired in dysfunction, we live in that victim or that drama triangle. We've all been in rooms where someone else's victim stance took over, and the key is noticing it. Once you see that the victim role is less about helplessness and more about hitting control, you can hold your ground, set boundaries, and bring the focus back to the bigger purpose. So the next time you're in a meeting and the energy shifts like this, ask yourself, am I getting pulled into the victim story, or am I helping us return to what really matters? That is where your power is. That's where the group's power is. Now, if this resonates with you and you want more tools for handling tricky workplace dynamics, check out my upcoming workshop on September 18th, 2025. It's Beyond Burnout, Setting Boundaries at Work That Stick, Practical Scripts and Strategies for Professionals. So even if you're listening to this after the fact, you will be able to find the workshop replay on my website. And remember, boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about keeping the focus on what matters. If you've been waiting for the right time to honor yourself more fully, this is your invitation. This August, I'm inviting a select number of women to take the first step toward a life where your time, energy, and well-being are no longer an afterthought. When you enroll in private coaching this month, you'll receive my Jump Start Your Boundaries toolkit. Inside, you'll find tools that speak directly to the real struggles so many of us face. Overgiving, saying yes when we mean no, carrying guilt for even having needs, and believing that self-care is selfish. It's not. This is your chance to jump start your boundaries, to reclaim your dignity, your grace, and your rightful place at the center of your own life. You get the toolkit immediately, but if you'd prefer to begin our coaching sessions in September, you can, but you must sign up in August to access the toolkit. Go to barbchat.net to sign up for a call and take the first step toward becoming the woman you already are, grounded, worthy, and unshakably whole. Hi, I'm Barb Nangle. I want to welcome you to my podcast, Fragmented to Whole, Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery. If you're tired of feeling fragmented and overwhelmed, this podcast is your guide to creating a life of wholeness, authenticity, and healthy boundaries. I'm a woman in recovery who is also a boundaries coach and speaker. I share raw and honest insights from my own journey and the principles of 12-step recovery. Discover how to set boundaries without guilt or shame, overcome people-pleasing tendencies, manage your emotions effectively, cultivate a stronger sense of self, and build healthier relationships. My approach is raw, honest, and sometimes a little bit, a lot sweary. I'm an avid beachcomber and a formerly closeted fan of the Hallmark Channel, especially Christmas movies. I wear fingerless gloves almost all year round because my hands are always cold, and I love taking pictures of license plates with my initials BN on them. I don't speak for or endorse any particular 12-step program of recovery. Though I'm a huge fan of 12-step recovery and a member of 2 such fellowships, I cannot speak for them. If you're ready for real talk and practical tools for transformation, keep listening.